Hey everyone. So I'm sure you've heard about Trudeau testing his drama skills, right? See how good he is at doing that crying on a dime kind of insincere fucking bullshit, right? You know, his apology tour, which is kind of fucking hilarious. Did you do it yourself, Trudeau? Did you cause harm to these people yourself, Trudeau? Because if not, what the fuck are you doing going around on this apology tour, right? What a fucking, like I say, this guy is not going to inspire anybody other than the most inept and unthinking beta cucks and fucking feminazis who just can't seem to get enough of their self-loathing, self-hatred, pretense, or positions. I don't know how anyone could look at these people as leaders. It could only possibly be unthinking, self-loathing Canadians who are ideologically driven that would even want to promote this kind of behavior. I mean, I'm beside myself on a continual basis at just how fucking far these people will go to try to stereotype the domestic population as just being what? Mindless brutes, right? In reality, it's not. It's always the people in positions of authority. It's your ilk. It's the people of your ilk, Trudeau. It's all you dipshits that want to centrally plan, micromanage, manipulate, dictate, control, and plunder the people. Yes, you authoritarian fucks are dipshits. And yes, you're fucking immoral. But what's even more disgusting than trying to offload their own fucking personal burdens or the burdens of the state onto the general population at large. What's even more disgusting is not only are they using the sympathy tour to create some kind of bullshit culture of Canadians where we should just stick our head between our legs or bury it in the sand because we're just, whoa, so shameful, right? Even more disgusting than that is the fact that now, this in reference to this $100 million payout for the gay purge victims, as the PM puts it, right? The LGBTQ discrimination, which, how did that happen? Yeah, it was your government fucks. Yes, there was some people in the private sector, the general population, that might have been anti-LGBT, but they had no positions of power or authority to prevent them from what? Getting a job or being treated equally in the rest of society. They had none of that power. They had no pretense or position of power to affect anything against people that they might not agree with. It's the political class. It's the ruling class from both the left and the right side of the political spectrum that created this bullshit where it was illegal to be gay. Laws, like I say, are completely subjective in nature in this modern fucking iteration of democracy, the kind of world that we live in today. Morality, it's not even entered into the equation anymore. It's just ruled by edict. Now, it's okay to admit that that's the fact, which is basically what Trudeau is suggesting here in his apology tour. But it's like, well, you're doing the same thing today. It's just that the people you're oppressing aren't the LGBTQ. Now that's your typical white male, your strong, independent white male. That's your opponent. Was your grandkid or your kid going to fucking apologize to the white working class Canadians in the future for all the oppressive tactics and rhetorical messaging that deems them as second-class citizens? Is that what the fucking going thing is? And what are you going to do? Same kind of thing what you're doing now. What, are you going to force generations far off in the future that had nothing to do with it to pay for the sins of their forefathers? Because this is what this is, that $100 million that Trudeau's promising to the LGBTQ, well, that was something that happened back in the 60s, right? And the 70s and long ago, decades and decades ago. The government was the one that was oppressing these people, but they're going to force the taxpayer that live today, that are just barely alive today. They're going to charge you, which you're probably the kind of person that's completely accepting of this LGBTQ community, right? But you're the one that's going to be forced to pay for the sins of your forefathers or people who came before you or generations of the past. This is so fucking immoral. It's so corrupt. And what? He gets to claim benevolence? Meanwhile, it's not coming out of Trudeau's pocket. He's not ponying up this $100 million fucking dollars. He's not forcing the politicians in the past to pony up and pay for their mistakes or their oppressive tactics or techniques they used while they were in positions of power or authority. No. They're forcing the average Canadian today who don't think or aren't aligned. As we know this, the majority of people accept LGBTQ people and their equality of rights and opportunities. The overwhelming majority of people do in Canada. That's statistically factual and true. But they're going to force you, but that's the thing with government debts nowadays, it might not even be you alive today. It might be your kids that are born into the future, the unborn. It might be your kids that are just barely born now or so far unborn, or maybe your grandkids. Because these debt levels and these debt loads, it's going to take a long time to be able to pay all of this money, to pay up all this money, to pay off all these special interest groups for what people did in the past. Like I say, we got to get so far, we got to move further and further away from this fucking collectivized bullshit where you punish good people for the sins of others. Collectivism is destroying the very fabric of what it means to have a free and independent citizenry in this country. Forced subjugation is so rampant at this point. Like I say, the pushback is coming. The pushback is here, though. How long it's going to take for this to completely unfold and play out? Well, who knows? That's up in the air and open to interpretation, but it will be a reality that we'll see happening from this point going forward. So while, of course, I got nothing against the LGBT community, neither do most Canadians. Hey, if you're a live, let live kind of person and that's your mentality, then you're like, what the hell? What did I do? Why you force me? Now, I would voluntarily donate to help people that I deem necessary or worthy of my help. But why the hell is Trudeau trying to force me or impose guilt upon me when I've done nothing? I wasn't part of that cohort, the ruling class, that was completely oppressive in nature towards people of this particular kind of minority group, of this particular special interest group. Come on, Canada. We've got to do a whole lot better than this. You've got to do a whole lot better than this. Start pushing back, start speaking up, start speaking openly in opposition to this kind of bullshit. It's Canadian Libertarian. I love liberty.